Hey cats, it's Ed, Greenwich Mean Time Bud here. Today with a race recap on a recent event that I took part in, the Big Half 2024. Bit of a warm one up in the capital. Let's see how I got on. Thanks for joining me on the channel, people. It's always appreciated. Do hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up like, it really helps out. Drop us a comment down below as well to help fight the algorithm. Dankashire. So I stayed over in Greenwich on the Saturday evening before the race, just so I could get a really good rest, though it appears like the travel lodge on the high road is in fact the party capital of London. There were people up around 3:30 having a great time while I was trying to get some sleep, so it wasn't the best preparation possible, nor was having to walk a mile out to the O2 Arena so I could try and find a ASICS running vest as well. I forgot mine for some reason, just left it here, but managed to get one in this absolutely banging colourway. Really worked well with the shoes I was going to use for the race. So it could have been easier preparation, but the major issue was the weather, really. Never mind Greenwich rocks, I did manage to pick up a Stephen Maltmus album that I've been after for ages, his debut solo album. I remember buying that the day it came out back in 2001. It was just up on a wall in a audio and video exchange, so I bagged that one quickly. And I got a dinosaur book for my son, so could have been worse, right? On the morning of the race, getting over to the start line was very easy from where I was staying, and organisation was really good as well. Loads of toilets available for all the runners, and it was really difficult to actually mess up and sort of go to the wrong place to be able to drop off your bag. Course on the whole really was quite flat. People told me that it was really flat, but I think it's probably about comparable to the Bristol Half Marathon. No real major sort of leg destroying hills anywhere, though I would suggest if you're purely relying on GPS and the pace that's going to be outputted by your watch, then it might be a little bit deceiving at times due to the fact that it's quite built up in certain areas. I was trying to run using my Stride Pod power indicator that I'd set up on my right hand, and that seemed to be a reasonably good measure of the effort that I was putting in. So as the day warmed up, it did get a little bit tougher out there. I was in one of the early waves, so I think we started just after 8:30, and I think that was a real boon in fairness, because I was done and dusted before it got really warm out there. I did find the section between miles 7 and 10 actually the most testing. I think that's always the case really with a half marathon for me, knowing that you've done sort of half of the work but there's still another half to go. I did take advantage of every drink station on this one. Unfortunately the organisers have got them pretty well spaced out. You got them there at 3, 6, 8 and 10 miles. There was some Lucasade actually at one point, and that was really welcome. I needed something sweet to sort of pick me up, especially considering I forgot to take my energy gels. I left them on the hotel bed. So there we go. Did like the fact they were giving out the smaller water bottles that have a sort of cap, you know, that you can push on and off. That's very welcome. It means you can hang on to them for a little bit longer as well, rather than those really big ones. I think it was around the section on the Limehouse Link Tunnel. It really disorientated me. I didn't really know which direction I was heading in or really how far I'd gone. Though I found crossing Tower Bridge really fun. That was a good sort of milestone, I suppose, to figure out where I was. It's especially fun when you've got a load of other lunatics with packing foam strapped to their feet, all wearing the shortest shorts possible. Around mile 9 I felt a real discomfort in my left quad actually. It's really starting to hurt. I had to adapt my running a little bit and sort of stop actually to stretch my leg out somewhat. That seemed to resolve it for a little while, and then as I approached mile 11 I could just see runners dropping back, and there was quite a few people stopping. I think they just sort of burnt themselves out by that stage. I had some really random tunes on while I was doing the run. Slim Whitman's Indian Love Call, for example. Not sure how you can go from like Back in Black to Slim Whitman, but I did. Around about that period I decided that I'd run some like 200 meter reps at like faster pace and then sort of go back to a sort of more sustainable effort, and that really seemed to work to get me through the last section of the run. That was up until like the 200 meter sort of sign, and then I just turned the blasters on and finished off the race. I barely even noticed the beautiful Cutty Sark ship there on the right hand side, and I have to say I was quite pleased to get that one over with. It was tough going out there. Not really a day for PBs, but I was glad to finish in the time that I had. 1 hour 35:07. So it's not too shabby out there, especially in those temps really, and happy with my effort overall. It's quite consistent really. I'm feeling pretty good afterwards, I have to say as well, guys. Like 24 hours on, I think it's down to that Flight Foam Turbo Plus. Whatever's in that foam, I don't know, but it is magic stuff. I say that because over the weekend I did loads and loads of walking, wearing the Super Blast 2s, and then of course their Metaspeed Sky Paris. For the race, they felt really forgiving, and they're super light on foot as well. I think anything today with serious mush perhaps would have been detrimental to my performance. I think having something with a little bit more response there, I think if the shoe was too soft, then it would have been a little bit too easy for me to just sort of sit back, slow down and treat the race like a training effort. So I'm glad I still pushed it where I could and tried to sort of sustain pace over time, even if it was a little bit lower than what I wanted. Down to the shoes, I did go with the Metaspeed Sky Paris. Now I've got to be honest, looking at this shoe and I placed it down on the table when I got home, it does look like the shoe sort of curved a little bit more than it used to. I think the hard use that it's had in racing and sort of premium training really has taken its toll. There's bits that are sort of hanging off now, and the actual forefoot section of the shoe's really ripped up now. I mean, this shoe's been used more in anger than probably anything else in the selection right now. The outsole rubber and the forefoot's kind of smoothed over. There's no real ridges left on it whatsoever, and it does seem to be affecting the amount you can kind of toe off with the shoe. You haven't got that sort of more explosive toe off anymore. So it's one of those shoes that you sort of use it and enjoy it, and I'm glad that I've had the chance to use it, and it's of course got me a few PBs, but I think it's time to retire this one now. One area that was testing on the course, certainly in this shoe and probably any of those super shoes, was the cobbled sections. Someone did warn me about those around about mile 6, and they were not wrong. Alan Rideout, one of the local runners here back in Yeovil, did suggest that when you see the cobbles, you know, go for the sides, go for the pavement, but there was one section where that isn't an option, it's just all cobbled, and yeah, being a giraffe with a very high centre of gravity, got to be kind of worried when you hear that, but made it through those bits. And the Canary Wharf section was actually quite nice. I did do a bit of a recce on the route the day before, so I knew what was happening when I was coming up on that sort of final section. There's a few little hills there, and I thought, yes, well, I'll do those reps, you know, just push through the hills and then sort of coast through the downhill sections, and that seemed to work really well. Great to see so many viewers before, during and after the race. Lots of people came up to talk to me, and it was very welcome. Thanks for doing that, guys. Sometimes when you're in a place where you sort of don't know anyone, or you kind of feel a bit lonely as well, especially if you're traveling about. When I used to DJ and sort of go around Europe or whatever, you always felt a little bit lonely, you know, there's no one there, but that wasn't the case this time. Lots of people coming to talk to me. Great chatting, and I wish you all the best for your training, whether it's like for Valencia Marathon, for example, or for any medical appointments that you've got for any of those slight injuries you have right now. So in a nutshell, really great course and really good organisation as well. Just wasn't perhaps the day for anyone really for personal best. It is a PB course, but just too hot. Very humid sort of temperatures. I never seen it do that well in the UK in the warmer temps. I think half the problem is that you just don't have any time to sort of accustomise yourself to those temperatures. By the time you have done, they're gone and you're back to rain and wind, which is exactly what we got right now. I mean, you get seasons here, but there's just no consistency from one day to the next. And all of my best performances have been like in 7 or 8 degrees, so add on another 10 and that's what you had yesterday. So onwards and upwards, my fitness certainly does appear to be improving across Strava and pretty much all the other platforms that I utilise. That's on the up, and that's really good news. I'm at least where I was in terms of fitness when I did the Manchester Half Marathon back in October of last year. So we're going to keep pushing now through autumn and into winter. Maybe I can drop into a 10k or a half marathon that's reasonably flat in those nice cold conditions I like. Were you racing today or very recently? Did you take part in the big half in London over the weekend? Let us know how you got on down in the comments. Musical interlude time. I'm a big Neil Young fan. I don't think I have everything, but I've picked up most of his recordings and releases. One such interesting release that came out about 2017, I think it was, is Hitchhiker. It's a recording where he's just performing a load of new songs just in demo form on acoustic guitar, just the producer, you know, hitting record and Neil just singing these songs out, sometimes with changed lyrics. These are sort of like the initial sort of inception of the songs. There's some fantastic tunes here. Some songs that actually go on to have different names and different words. Powderfingers here from the Zuma era. That's a really great performance. There's a lovely song called Give Me Strength as well. It's a beautiful recording. The guitar comes across really well. It's woody, it's got a lot of nice tone. You can hear every sort of stroke of the plectrum or the fingers, and Neil's voice sounds absolutely incredible here. It's like before, you know, the sort of excess of the 80s, I suppose. Definitely worth finding this one. Quite a short album, there's only about 10 tracks on it, but if you like some of his later 70s material, then you'll really want to hear all these original kind of ideas of the songs. Hitchhiker by Neil Young. Thanks for tuning in, people. It's always appreciated. Hit that subscribe button if you've not done so already. Also give this video a thumbs up, like, and drop us a comment to help fight the YouTube algorithm. My name's Eddbud, and I'll be seeing you